technology knowledge should be as widespread as knowledge on finance and on corporate governance. And this is where I personally spend quite a lot of time talking to guys like you and just trying to demystify technology. So it's not a monster, it's not something scary. I mean, just get a couple of books, listen to some podcasts, ask questions, reach out on LinkedIn. People are so approachable, they want to help, and once a certain understanding is achieved, then you can move on and do further things.
Hello everyone, welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host Anasstasia, and today we have a CX expert with us on the show. But before I introduce you to our guest, allow me to introduce you to the magic of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code digital CX platform, available across 14 channels with 45,000 solutions created across 187 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Ing.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now moving forward to our guest. So, Dr. Anastassia Lauterbach is a technology strategist possessing unique knowledge of the high-tech ecosystem, able to structure partnership agreements with global technology companies offering a mutual advantage. She inspires and motivates people and relies on powerful analytics to solve problems and facilitate rapid decision-making. She trains corporate boards of Fortune 500 in cybersecurity and data technologies, and judges 2 international technology competitions focused on the industrial internet, cybersecurity, and communication technologies. She is the leading author for the Artificial Intelligence Imperative, and she is also a professor for AI and data in Germany. Welcome, Anastassia.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So before we dive into our interview with Anastassia, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content from our thought leaders from across the globe. So how are you, Anastassia?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with my first question. So being a thought leader in cybersecurity, what measures do you think organizations and individuals need to take to protect themselves from cyber criminals, basically?
Look, this is a very big question, isn't it? So before we really deep dive into tech, like a technology stack in cyber, we need to understand what kind of data we have in a company, in an organization. It might be a non-profit organization as well. So every organization on earth has data. And understanding what type of asset data is and where it sits in the organization is tremendously important. So it's just really having this register of data and having a dedicated data strategy. This is what separates great companies from companies which are not maybe that far along in the digitization. So once you know what kind of data you have and what kind of data is among your crown jewels, then you need to understand in what type of IT infrastructure this data is being trapped or just sits. Because some companies, even some big Fortune 500 companies, they don't have the full view on the infrastructure. And that might be really dangerous because criminals, cyber criminals, they are very sophisticated people. So they're very innovative. They know how to penetrate defenses in a company, and they know how to get to this data. Even, for example, if the data is sitting somewhere on a God-forgotten server, and the server is really kind of, in a sleeping mode. So once you have this infrastructural piece, you go into the data stack and technology stack. And here it's all about your risk appetite. Because, cybersecurity is not something which can be like finalized. So there will be always some loopholes to penetrate corporate defenses. If someone is really into your data and your secrets, your trade secrets, those people might get into your systems. But the question is, would you be capable to discover them? Would you be capable to mitigate the damage quite quickly? So this is tremendously important. And here your risk appetite will define how much are you going to invest in your defenses. So then we have those pieces in the technology stack, starting from the network protection and then going into devices. So we talk a lot about edge in technology. So edge devices nowadays, it's not just my iPhone or some Android devices. It's not just my Mac computer or some Windows device. It might be even a car. It might be a sensor. For example, if we have a manufacturer and this manufacturer implements sensors to do remote maintenance of machines in a factory. So those sensors are edge devices. So we need to understand what kind of edge devices they are and where do they sit, and then how do we protect devices which are edge devices. And then we're moving into, okay, so what is our setup? Are we moving our data into the cloud? So cloud protection plays tremendous role. So we need to understand how do we move? Is it in a safe way? When the data is in the cloud, what kind of provider do we have in front of us? Do they have some sophisticated defense mechanism? Are they going to inform us if something is not in order? So this is really important. Not everyone is on Amazon or Google Cloud or Microsoft Cloud. They are smaller providers. Are they as safe as they are saying they are? So, and then of course, what is quite often forgotten. So let's imagine you implemented all the defenses. It's like you are in a house and the house is closed. You have all the, you know, the window closed and you have the wall around your garden, and maybe you have 3 dogs guarding your house. But if 1,000 people have keys to your house, you might not be that safe. And those people might be your consumers and businesses you are serving. They might be your customers, or they might be your vendors, your suppliers. So your partners, you don't expect any harm coming from them, but they might be a weak point in your defense mechanism. So this ecosystem of your vendors, suppliers, and customers is as important for cybersecurity as your own, let's say, network, your edge devices, and everything you have inside of your business. So looking into every single aspect of this is what will separate you as a winning company from companies which might lose against cyber criminals.
Yeah, that was a detailed answer. So what threats do you think we are going to see in 2021 related to data security? And what measures can some organizations take to prevent these threats from invading customers' privacy, basically?
I think it's very important to be great in threat intelligence and to understand what is going on, because really cyber criminals are very innovative. And they test their technologies, their technology approaches. Sometimes they penetrate corporate defenses just to test, not to really steal immediately. And I think that they operate with contemporary technologies like machine learning. So we could see in 2020 that deepfakes, so when with the help of machine learning, for example, voice and even the movement of a face on a picture, on a video, are, let's say, compromised. And those deepfakes will enter scale in 21, 22. This is what I totally expect to happen. Do corporate people have understanding on this machine learning capabilities used by cyber criminals? This is a great question mark. And then are they really keen to invest into technologies which utilize learning, machine learning, to learn from the past incidents within the company and maybe outside to get the intelligence of the market into the company? So this is something what is really important, to having blueprints on mitigation of cyber attacks. And those blueprints should be benchmarked and should kind of, get feedings from the whole market. So based on machine learning technology. So this is what I totally expect to rise next year and the year after next. And then let's not forget, so we are in a very particular situation in the world because we have global pandemics. And what I see even more in 2020 is that some attacks are mastered by states and state actors. So like the attack against many airlines in the UK in the last year. So, and the year before this. So these state attackers are sometimes very sophisticated. It's very difficult to discover them. So here, working with your peers, sometimes even with your competitors, with some industrial associations, is very important to understand the threat landscape and what is going on.
So basically, we all the organizations together should basically start to come up with a solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So I'll move ahead to my next question. So do you think that while there is a rise in desire for personalized, also a heightened for privacy? And how can organizations meet in the middle of both of these?
Look, so this kind of, balance to achieve between protecting privacy, being very sophisticated around protection of privacy, and then doing all fancy things with data. And I think here there are a couple of things which are very close to my heart. So first of all, I truly believe that edge computing, so when the computation is happening on the device and not in the cloud, so where you can compare users, this is something where we should invest money and attention and R&D resources into. Then again, I think that it's not just about big data in the world, but I think that companies and R&D centers need to understand how to work with small data sets. And then again, there are some technologies which, let's say, are paying into privacy. So they might be on the encryption side, they might be on the side of machine learning, for example, federation learning or federative learning, how to utilize data on a level where the single person, the single individual is kind of hidden. So you don't need always to go to the roots and to go to the person. So you can protect person with contemporary technologies and techniques. And I think that what is really lacking is maybe talent in the organizations to know about what is out there, to cooperate with organizations skilled in those technologies, and just to have some test beds within the company to pilot those new approaches.
Yeah, okay. So how do you think we can strike a balance between AI ethics and digital transformation today?
So AI ethics is something really complicated, because ethics is not a universal definition. So let's say ethics in Singapore and ethics in Germany, so we can discuss what is common there and where are differences. And ethics in the 15th centuries and nowadays, this is something very different. So it's always up to where we are in geography and where we are in time. And now we have global community of technologists, and we need to develop a certain understanding on what should be this ethics about, and how to come to certain sets of standards. So this is not a very easy task, and I don't think that the next year will bring all the answers. So I think we're just at the beginning of this AI revolution, and setting standards on what should be a beneficial and good AI. So having said that, there are a couple of things which are just important. So companies can pay attention whether, for example, they utilize data set which are, let's say, very monotone without a lot of diversity. And I mean, it's a fact that women die from certain types of cancers more often than men, because the medicine was developed based on the data sets which comprised male patients only. So asking the question, so what are those data sets we are using? Where do we get them? Being very due diligent in data sourcing strategy. This is something which is paying into like this approach that we have a world with different needs. We have different groups of consumers and businesses. They all have their purposes and their desires, and we need to serve all of them, though we might use some unified technology. So the devil is always in details, and asking questions on diversification. Who is developing those technologies? Did we maybe deprioritize a certain group of population, or did we emphasize something too strongly? So those questions need to get asked, and this is a journey. So I don't think that we will see all the answers. And then, of course, explainable AI. So it's a huge world out there on how to explain models, for example, in deep learning. So deep learning has tremendous advantages. It's not just about playing games. Deep learning is utilized in companies doing energy, in transportation, all kind of applications. And there are some techniques on how kind of, to reverse engineer and understand the thinking of a machine. So either, for example, coloring pieces of model which contributes mostly to the outcome, to the result of a calculation, computation. So and I think that being skilled and talking to the ecosystem, to the experts around this explainable AI, understanding what are we buying from our suppliers, what type of models are out there, can we really reverse engineer them, where do we have questions, being just transparent, that will balance your digitization policy, and then maybe your ideals and thoughts around ethics and AI.
Okay. So as you said that in market we see that most of the medicines are basically dedicated to men that we have, and basically the models are biased to the data through the data to the men's data more. So what would be some suggestions for some of these companies to start removing these biases basically from that data?
It's just really all about data sourcing strategy. And, this is what kind of, quite painful, because people believe, okay, we have this data engineer or a data science. And by the way, those are very different things. So data scientists and data engineers, those are two different professions. But they believe, okay, the data person, and this is like a Swiss knife, will cover it all, but it's not. So there's this skill set to organize, let's say, how data is getting into the company. So the sources, where does it come from? Do we know those suppliers? How do they work? They might have their policies, how they assemble data, then cleansing of those data, preparing before data gets into some kind of model and getting exposed to some kind of algorithm. So this preparation is key. So this is one kind of, profession. And then, of course, you have a very innovative people who will develop new techniques, new algorithms, try things out, talk to people in diverse disciplines of sciences. So those data scientists being very creative around data. This is something completely different. And unfortunately, we lack this skill set and understanding of data in businesses. So I think that what we need to do is education first. And this is all around technology literacy. And actually, I applaud you that you interview people like myself. So you interview people with great understanding of tech, and those people, they can talk about technology. There are some great people, technologists, who can't just get their knowledge out there and being simple about their concepts and what they do in their daily job. So we need more technology literacy in corporations. All C-level people around the world, they somehow can read a balance sheet. Well, profit loss statement, cash flow, they might not be people from finance, but they will be exposed to those concepts of profit loss, of cash flow, so they will understand it. But then if you mention open source to them, then they are immediately kind of, this is not our domain, so we need to call someone from IT, and this IT department might be in a dungeon somewhere, and if my iPad is broken, then I call the IT department and then someone will fix it. But this is not about it. So this technology knowledge should be as widespread as knowledge on finance and on corporate governance. And this is where I personally spend quite a lot of time talking to guys like you and just trying to demystify technology. So it's not a monster, it's not something scary. I mean, just get a couple of books, listen to some podcasts, ask questions, reach out on LinkedIn. People are so approachable, they want to help, and once a certain understanding is achieved, then you can move on and do further things.
So any other sound bites you would like to leave our audience with, Anastassia?
Yeah, so I am very keen to understand the positive impact of data on companies, society, and I believe that data can lead to better sustainable businesses or communities, even nations and governments. This is something which is what I'm very passionate about. How can data and data technologies contribute to better societies? And in this context, I'm quite keen to understand decentralized data technologies. So obviously, we live in the world where around like 9 top companies from the United States and China, they have most of the data, and of course they behave in the way a monopolist would behave. They have fantastic technologies around this data, which we all benefit from, but at the same time we feel like we contribute to the rise of their profits, and we are just being like served on a menu instead of sitting across the table and participating in the discussion. So I think that the world should evolve around decentralized data markets. And the key will be to connect those decentralized data markets to people who are skilled in technologies, in software development, developing products and services. And I think that this is the journey we should embark on. And the concept of data trust, better data governance within companies, some mechanism to exchange data in a secure way, based maybe on some blockchain technologies and new protocols on blockchains. So this is something what I am very keen to learn more about, to participate in, and to understand in the next year. And this is probably kind of, my last thought for you. Would you be ready to embark on a journey and create your own data market, which might be a great fit for blockchain technology?
Thank you so much, Anastassia, for giving us your time. Your insights were really valuable, and I know our audience is gonna love this interview. And we are really thankful for people like you to come and share these details related to how we can improve some things related to our organization. And basically, we know how the more we share the knowledge, the more it is good for from a global perspective as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege, and once again, congratulations on your growth. Congratulations on being so international. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, and anytime if you need anything else.
Yeah. So guys, we'll be back with a new episode with a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.